Hi, I'm Kyle Lacy. I live in Indianapolis, Indiana. Currently SVP of marketing at a company called Seismic, which is a sales enablement software. So me personally, it's pretty much marketing. Like that's what I've done ever since I graduated Anderson in 2006. I spent a lot of time at Orange House Records, and that's where I kind of fell in love with this idea of marketing and experience. It just happened to be music at the time. And when I graduated in 2006, I founded an agency out of school, worked with a couple of marketing agencies locally in Indianapolis, and joined a software company called ExactTarget. That was 2012. So I kind of transitioned from creative, design, brand to software. And my career up till today has been mostly around brand. So I've spent time at ExactTarget. We IPO'd, we were bought by Salesforce. Spent 2 years in Boston at a venture capital firm, and then joined Lacy in 2017, and we were acquired by Seismic in August of 2021. And so now I run marketing for Seismic. Innovation to me means change, no matter what you're innovating. I think if you look back on any type of innovation, I'm sure the favorite thing is the iPhone, right? We all look at Steve Jobs as a great innovator. For me, it's change. You can innovate on anything, whether that's your job or life, as long as you're moving forward and changing. And that's true innovation, in my opinion. It's an interesting question, because when you are selling a software platform or company, you have a lot of competitors. It's usually the case. There's thousands of competitors. And so innovation happens when you differentiate your product or the way that you're messaging to a specific market or person. I think that you could say innovating a product, I don't believe from a software perspective that people really ever innovate products. If we released an innovative feature on our product, our competitors would release it 2 months from now. Like it moves so quickly that innovation, I think, happens when it comes to, are you telling a different story to the market, and are you telling it appropriately? Because one of my favorite quotes is by Ben Horowitz, who's an investor out in Silicon Valley. He says, your company's story is your company's strategy. And I think innovation happens when you can tell the story differently. And that's not only software, that can apply to anything, any type of company, any type of business, even how you tell your own story, your personal story. Your story changes every day. Like the experiences that you have with people, the experiences that your product has with its customer base, the market dynamics changing. It's how you evolve the story that's important. And most of the time, we aren't really good at evolving our story. We get very set on a specific goal, and we meet that goal, and then we just keep telling that same story over and over again. A great example is like accounting firms that say, we have 100 years of experience under our roof. Nobody cares how many years of experience you have. I care that you get my taxes in on time and I make money back, right? You have to focus on how you evolve the story, and if you don't, you're just gonna get caught in a rut, honestly. And you can do that from a personal perspective I talk a lot about personal branding because I think it's important to students as well as people that are in the workforce now. But you've got to evolve, because if you tell the same story over and over again, then you are lost. Brand Swag was the agency I started with a friend of mine, one of my roommates from Anderson, Brandon Kuhn, graduated in 2005. It was a design and web agency. So I was designing brochures, logos. What happened was we started competing with real agencies in Indy. So you can imagine that me walking into a room, 23 years old when I had hair, right? And we lost deal after deal after deal. And what I found out was through those deals that we lost to major agencies in Indianapolis, the one thing that people listened to me on was social. MySpace at the time, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And so I just started selling social training. Our first product was MySpace pages for churches. We didn't sell one. I think I built like 5, but no, churches would not pay for it. And then we built training for teaching professionals how to use LinkedIn, how to use Twitter. And it's a funny, so that was like an evolution of my story. Like we're not a creative agency, we're now a social agency. And a social agency in 2008 was, like nobody was talking about it. And so what's interesting is that we had boot camps, and they were like 6-week boot camps where people would sit in a room and listen to me talk for 3 hours about anything you possibly think of that had to do with social. And an editor at Wiley was friends with somebody that was in one of my boot camps, and that's how Twitter Marketing for Dummies started. And then that's the next evolution of my story as an individual, is because I was just doing training, and having a published book on how to use Twitter to market yourself or your business catapulted me to the next level, which was speaking at conferences. And because of that, ExactTarget became a customer of mine. And when my business failed miserably, I was hired on at ExactTarget to go speak at conferences all over the world about social. And that was so the evolution of the story was very important, and it led to 2 more books, and it led to jobs. An unforgettable experience is better than a forgettable one. And I don't care if you deliver it through TikTok or a MySpace page or a direct mail piece. We did a ton of direct mail at Lessonly, and this was 2017 to 2021. It is about creating an experience that people will remember and creating an experience that they enjoy. It does not matter which I think the rate of change that's happening with technology is interesting, but it's not changing the dynamics of business, other than we have different ways to communicate. There are a few game changers in my life, and you know, my number one's my father. He's been an entrepreneur for a long time, and when I was in high school, he helped me start a mowing company. And despite the fact I was terrible at running it, and I lost checks, and we lost money, and it was a horrible experience for probably him, it helped teach me the first steps in owning a business, which is the marketing component of it. And he taught me that. And so that's a game changer for me, because it gave me the ability to work for something, as well as other jobs. The second one is Scott Dorsey, who was CEO of ExactTarget, co-founder of ExactTarget. For some reason, I got 40 under 40 for the IBJ, Indianapolis Business Journal, when I was like 23. There's no reason at all I should have received that award, I'm gonna be honest with you. But Scott had gotten it a couple years before, and I met Scott at a networking event the year that I got it. So 23, he talked to me for like 5 minutes. And then 3 or 4 months later, I was having issues with my business in a partnership. And I remember that he had talked about, at some point, I had heard him write about or talk about how he had also struggled with some of this stuff while starting ExactTarget. I emailed him and said, hey, will you just talk to me about the struggle I'm going through? He spent 45 minutes with me on the phone driving home from work one day, with only meeting me for 5 minutes at an event. And to this day, it's the reason why I chose ExactTarget. It's the reason why I went to OpenView Venture Partners. OpenView Venture Partners invested in Lessonly. The founder of OpenView was on the board of ExactTarget. Scott was on the board at Lessonly, and Scott was influential in the Seismic relationship that has led to a great acquisition for us, and now my role running marketing. Every time I have and I like to call them like inflection points in my career where I'm struggling with what to do, he's the first person that I will ask. So those are, and then I think that my kids are probably the other one. I'll group Anders and Caden together as one game changer, because they change a lot of things, but it's work-life integration that has been very interesting for me over the past 6 years, having 2 boys and trying to balance, I love working. My career is a lot of my identity, and it has changed quite a bit becoming a father. So my mindset has changed over the years, mainly around how much of my career drives my personal satisfaction. Early on, I is very ego-driven. Like 100% of what I did was ego-driven. And it helped me because I was running an agency, I was speaking at conferences, I had to teach people things that I was teaching myself the night before, basically. But as I moved into larger companies and I started building teams and running teams, I realized that the servant leadership portion of that and serving people, and it goes back to Game Changer, right? Serving people in a way that's meaningful became more of my mindset that this is all for Kyle. Now, there is a large portion of it that's still ego-driven. It always will be. It's just how I function, and it's performance to me is very important. But serving my team members, I get more satisfaction out of that than I do like, oh, Kyle, great job, you built a brand that was acquired. Like, it doesn't mean it's not there, it just means there's more satisfaction in serving. I would go back, I would tell my college self, spend more time digging deep on the things you really enjoy. I think a lot of the first 10 years of my career out of college, and even at college, I was surface level on a lot of things. I taught myself design using Photoshop so we could design concert posters for John McLaughlin, who was on the Orange House Records at the time. And I didn't go any deeper than trying to learn like the how to really use Photoshop, how to really become a designer. And there's a lot of those things that I can point to and early on in my career where I didn't dig deep, and that's still the case today. So do not give up, dig deep, do the hard stuff in order to get really good at what you do. My advice to somebody looking to become a game changer is helping people. I did an interview where it was all based on fear and understanding head trash and understanding what you truly fear. And the question that I was asked through this interview process was, what do you want your legacy to be? Like if you think back on your life, and what do you want people to say about you? And for me, it's I helped people. And I think you can do that in multitudes of ways, but the game changers in my life have helped me, and I have seen them do the same thing for other people. And because they were game changers in my life, it allowed me to have an example of becoming game changers in others and other lives.